Hi everyone, welcome back to Health Talk in 10, where we review popular health claims and check them against actual evidence. Today I'm looking at a lecture by Barbara O'Neill on the immune system. She talks about skin, mucus, white blood cells, blood cleansers, cold showers, flu bombs, and why she thinks you shouldn't get the flu shot or drink fluoridated water. Some of what she says is broadly reasonable, some of it is incomplete, oversimplified, or just wrong, especially when it comes to vaccines, serious infections, and water fluoridation. Let's sort out what holds up and what doesn't. What Barbara gets broadly right, but we'll tighten it. Barbara opens by asking, what is your immune system? She points out that the skin is a barrier. The eyes, nose and mouth have mucus and reflexes to keep things out. The stomach's acid kills many microbes. And the white blood cells are the internal army. All of that is basically correct. The immune system is a network that includes physical barriers, skin, mucus, tiny hairs in the nose and airways. Immune cells, white blood cells like neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils and basophils. Organs and tissues, lymph nodes, spleen, bone marrow, thymus. She's also right that fever is part of the immune response. There's good evidence that febrile temperatures can enhance white blood cell activity and immune signaling. And her general lifestyle points, sleep, movement, plant-rich diet, hydration, are perfectly sensible ways to support overall health. So the broad framework is fine. The problems start when she moves from basic physiology into treatment advice and strong anti-vaccine/anti-fluoride claims. The cellulitis story, hydrotherapy versus antibiotics. Barbara tells a long story about a 7-year-old boy with a swollen, red, pus-filled finger. The doctor called it cellulitis, prescribed 2 courses of antibiotics, plus painkillers and sleeping tablets. She then describes using hot and cold water and a potato poultice, and says the finger was back to normal by the next morning, with no need for any more painkillers, and, implicitly, no more antibiotics. A few key problems here. 1. Cellulitis is a potentially serious bacterial infection. In the real world, cellulitis can spread quickly and, if untreated, lead to sepsis, tissue damage, or hospitalization. Standard treatment is antibiotics and sometimes urgent care. 2. Warm soaks can help, but they don't replace antibiotics. Alternating warm and cool water can improve blood flow and comfort. That part isn't outrageous, but it's adjunctive at best, not a substitute for evidence-based treatment when a child has a severe infection. 3. The story minimizes risk. We only hear about one boy whose finger improved. We don't hear about the children who might get worse if their parents stop antibiotics in favor of home remedies. So, if you have a red, hot, painful, rapidly spreading skin infection, do not use this story as a reason to avoid medical care. Hydrotherapy can be soothing, but antibiotics save lives in serious bacterial infections. Fever, saunas and 400% faster healing. Barbara then talks about using a steam sauna and cold plunges to deliberately raise body temperature to about 40 degrees Celsius, claiming white blood cells can triple, and metabolic rate and healing increase by 400%. It's true that fever is part of the immune response, and mild hypothermia can enhance some immune functions. But there are some important caveats. We don't have robust evidence that inducing a 40 degrees Celsius artificial fever in a sauna translates into a 400% increase in healing in humans. In people with heart disease, uncontrolled blood pressure, pregnancy, or frailty, this type of intense heat-cold protocol can be risky. Fever during infection is a controlled response mediated by the brain's thermostat. Forcing your body up to 40 degrees Celsius in a sauna is not the same thing. If you enjoy saunas and cold showers, they can be part of a healthy lifestyle, but they're not a universal immune therapy, and the 400% healing claim is not evidence-based. Blood cleansers and chlorophyll versus hemoglobin. Next, Barbara moves to the idea that greens are blood cleansers because human blood and plant blood, chlorophyll, have similar ring structures. Human hemoglobin has iron in the center. Chlorophyll has magnesium at the center. She's correct that hemoglobin and chlorophyll share a similar porphyrin ring structure with different central metal atoms. Iron versus magnesium have known this for over a century, but from that structural similarity, she jumps to one of the best blood and tissue cleansers there is, and implies that greens somehow transform the blood on that basis. What the evidence actually supports is simpler and less magical. Leafy greens are rich in vitamins, minerals, fiber, and phytonutrients. They support cardiovascular and metabolic health, and diets rich in vegetables are associated with lower risk of many chronic diseases. Your blood is cleansed primarily by your liver and kidneys, not by chlorophyll acting like some detergent. Greens are good for you, but not because chlorophyll turns into human hemoglobin or directly cleanses your blood in that way. Eosinophils, gluten, and the single-drop diagnosis. Barbara spends a lot of time on eosinophils, a particular type of white blood cell. She claims that by looking at a single drop of blood under her microscope she can count eosinophils, then declare that 0.2 eosinophils equals normal, 0.5 to 6 equals gluten-sensitive, 0.10 gluten intolerant, 0.16 to 18 celiac disease. This is not how eosinophils or celiac disease are diagnosed. In reality, eosinophilia, high eosinophil counts, can result from parasites, drug reactions, allergies, asthma, some cancers, and various inflammatory diseases. Celiac disease is diagnosed using specific blood tests and intestinal biopsy, not just a random eosinophil count from a fingertip smear. There is something called non-celiac gluten sensitivity, but it involves a more complex immune response and is usually diagnosed clinically, not by simple eosinophil counting. So if you suspect gluten issues, the appropriate path is 1. Talk to your doctor or a gastroenterologist. 2. Get proper testing for celiac disease before you remove gluten. 3. Only then consider an elimination and re-challenge under medical guidance. Using a vague eosinophil count from a live blood microscope to diagnose gluten issues is not evidence-based medicine. Colds, flu bombs, and flu shots. Now we get to the section with the highest stakes: colds, flu, and vaccines. Barbara says things like, a cold is just a house clean, not something to worry about. She has a herbal flu bomb: garlic, ginger, lemon, honey, eucalyptus oil, cayenne. She hopes people don't get flu shots, claiming the package insert says the vaccine will not prevent the flu and that it has mercury in it. Let's separate the reasonable from the dangerous as house cleaning. Yes, cold symptoms, runny nose, mucus, fever, are largely your immune system at work, but colds are still caused by viruses. The fact that the body has an immune response doesn't mean your immune system is high or that infection is always harmless. For most people, a cold is mild. For some, especially the very young, elderly, or people with chronic illness, respiratory infections can be more serious. Her lifestyle advice here: rest, fluids, nutrition, is fine, but calling every cold a harmless house clean downplays risk for vulnerable people. The flu bomb: garlic, ginger, lemon, honey, and a pinch of cayenne can make a soothing drink. Honey in particular can help with coughs, but there is no robust evidence that this mixture prevents influenza or serious complications. Eucalyptus oil needs to be used very carefully. Concentrated essential oils can be toxic if misused, especially in children. It's fine as a comfort drink, not a replacement for medical care or vaccination. Flu shots and this will not prevent the flu. Here is where the science diverges sharply from Barbara's claims. She implies that because flu vaccines aren't 100% effective, they're basically useless, and says insert state this will not prevent the flu, and that vaccines have mercury. In reality, flu vaccines do reduce the risk of infection, and more importantly, they reduce the risk of hospitalization and death, especially in high-risk groups. Effectiveness varies from year to year, but even in weaker years, we still see meaningful protection and milder illness in vaccinated people on average. Regulatory language on inserts often says the vaccine may not prevent influenza in all recipients. That is not the same as, this will not prevent flu. It's acknowledging that no vaccine is perfect. Many modern flu vaccines contain no thimerosal at all, and when it is used as a preservative, extensive safety data show no credible evidence of harm at the tiny doses used. So telling people, "I hope you don't have a flu injection because it has mercury and doesn't prevent flu" is misleading and may discourage people from a tool that does prevent hospitalizations and deaths every year. If you're wondering about the flu shot, talk with your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional. Look at the data for your age and risk group. Don't base your decisions solely on a single lecturer's opinion or a YouTube video, including mine. Water, fluoride, and purification. Barbara then criticizes chlorine, fluoride, and other additives in tap water and promotes reverse osmosis and special filters. She also mentions a political party objecting to fluoridation. Here's the mainstream view, based on large public health assessments. Chlorine is used to disinfect water and prevent deadly infections. Letting it sit will let some chlorine gas off. That part is fine. Fluoride at high levels can be harmful, but at the controlled levels used in community water fluoridation, large reviews by health authorities have found it to be safe and effective at reducing cavities. Community water fluoridation is endorsed by organizations such as Health Canada, the World Health Organization, and national dental and medical associations because it reduces tooth decay, particularly in lower-income groups. Government of Nova Scotia, there is ongoing debate, and some recent political moves against fluoridation in places like Utah have made headlines. But the weight of evidence still supports low-level fluoridation as a benefit for dental health, not a mass poisoning. If you personally prefer filtered or non-fluoridated water, that's your choice. Just be aware that Barbara's framing of fluoridation as simply toxic is not aligned with mainstream evidence reviews. What you can safely take away. So after all of that, what's worth keeping from this lecture, and what should you be cautious about? Reasonable takeaways. The immune system is complex and fascinating. Barriers, white blood cells, lymph, gut, all working together. Lifestyle matters, sleep, movement, plenty of plant foods, and adequate hydration support overall health. Gentle hydrotherapy, like warm soaks or brief contrast showers, can be soothing and may modestly support circulation and comfort. Leafy greens are excellent for you, not because chlorophyll is magic blood cleanser, but because of fiber, nutrients, and long-term cardiovascular benefits. Where you should be very cautious. Replacing antibiotics with hot-cold treatments and poultices in serious infections like cellulitis, especially in children. Assuming a flu bomb drink will protect you from severe flu or its complications. Rejecting flu vaccines based on slogans about mercury and "it doesn't prevent flu." Relying on live blood microscopy and eosinophil counts to diagnose gluten problems or celiac disease. Viewing fluoridated water as purely toxic without looking at the broader evidence. Your immune system really is remarkable, and yes, the body can heal a lot of things if you give it good conditions, but that doesn't mean we can safely discard vaccines, antibiotics, or basic public health measures. If you found this breakdown helpful, let me know in the comments. Which claim surprised you the most? The flu shot, the gluten testing, or the water fluoridation piece? And if there's another Barbara O'Neill lecture or popular health video you'd like me to review next, drop the link below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next evidence-based review.